Alright, news is only focused on Trump's lies from the State of the Union, not the threats that he made. They're not getting enough views, I guess, from talking about his threats. Alright, so 7 minutes on the upload for LDS Church threatening LDS women. One down, a billion more videos to go. Oh man, how much evidence? Where's your line, Mormons? How much evidence do you need to say, okay, that's it, I'm out, that's too much? You know, or is it one thing? You know, for me, it was church history and murder. And so, yeah, it almost was over translation. The historicity and translation of the Book of Abraham from the Gospel Topic Essays that the church published on their internet website, lds.org. They themselves, you know, they almost cost me on that one. I was almost out there. But the thing is that I had spent my life studying and researching Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian to find out the truth. And so by the time I heard about it, I already knew the translation methodology to be used, and it could have saved the church had the church not rushed into the Gospel Topic Essays to expose that they've lied and deceived the members of the church this whole time. And so, again, the church destroyed themselves. Alright, so, which one of the billion videos should I work on today? Alright, I need to talk about the pink shirt, the tale of tithing, a translation scandal, which I just, again, mentioned with the Gospel Topic Essays. The Church of Satan. Mormons don't believe in the church. Because you don't. You want to believe in Christianity. You want to be like Christians. You don't want to be picked on for being different. And so you're caving into peer pressure of your Christian neighbors. And then, Temple, I did that one. Temple changes, loyalty, extortion. Alrighty, so... Tale of Pink. Something that won't get any views because nobody cares about my life. Travis Goodsell and the Tale of Pink. Alrighty, so yeah, how did it happen? Where did it happen? Blah blah blah. Alright, I was living in Michigan, and went to kindergarten, and one of my classmates was named Beth, and one day we ended up walking to school together. We happened to meet up at the same time. So we were on our way to school, and then two older kids came up from behind us and were picking on Beth, and yeah, nightmare scenario. I don't want to get into it because of how horrible it was. That was a real trauma for me, and I'm still haunted to this day over it. And so yeah, I love Gwyneth Paltrow movies, her earlier works, where she is the victim of abuse. So Sliding Doors, Shakespeare in Love. That was so inspiring. I got out of the theater on that movie, and I just, oh man. If you haven't seen Shakespeare in Love, and if you're not sure about Shakespeare's works, watch that movie and you'll be a fan of Shakespeare forever. So Yeah, it's definitely not my eighth grade literature teacher who taught us about Romeo and Juliet and flunked us all. And then had to change because the school said, hey, come on, these guys need to graduate. All right, so yeah, fun times in the Auburn jail, junior high. Alrighty, so yeah, I've told other stories of that one too, and so yeah, I've already had a sensitive spot for women right early on, and as a result, when we moved to California, I mentioned in the other video, we had people. I don't remember the name of the toys, or if it's people, or it seems strange to call them people, but I called them people. And it was always me, the male neutered person. It wasn't like a Barbie doll and a Ken doll where they don't have the organs, and but you can clearly see the shape of their body is somewhat warped, but you can clearly identify the gender or the sex, I guess. And but the people, no, they were all the same, because you can then plug them into a chair or a car. So yeah, okay, it's now processing, and so yeah, I was always the man, and I'd have a different colored hair woman that I was recreating scenarios with as a little kid, and I never recreated marriage, but being a Mormon, I now realize, was it polygamy influence, or was it my inner love for women because of what happened with Beth? So not quite sure on that, but yeah, I always had multiple women surrounding my little toy characters, and so I didn't play with army men. It was always female characters that I was pretending to be involved with as my social reconstruction therapy. and no mother. No mother representation. I didn't want to be a part of my mother. My mother put soap in my mouth when she was washing my hair. She burning my head, and then freezing my head, and then burning my head. And so, they'd always ask us, what color do you like? What's your favorite color? And of course, as a boy, you were forced to say a manly color. You couldn't say pink or red or yellow or orange. It always had to be black, blue, brown. I was in a classroom in junior high, or no, in grade school at Sierra Vista. The teacher asked each of us what our favorite car is, our dream car that we would like to have. And the other boys in the class, they knew their cars. And so they were, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, blah, blah, blah. I think there was even a new one that was coming out. Something starts with a V, I think. The Vector or Vortex or Venn diagram, I don't know. But doors opened up on the sides, just like Back to the Future, similar to that car. But you know, I had no idea. I watched TV, so I remembered a TV car commercial. And I said that one, and then the teacher was like, "Oh, well, that's a very nice car and responsible." And and the other kids were like, "The commercial?" So I had to figure out, oh, okay, maybe the Grand National, that's the one I want. And so, yeah, there's a lot of pressure as kids to conform to gender stereotypes. And as I also mentioned in the other video, I would sneak into my sister's room to play Barbie fashion plates. And other times I'd get their permission, and I'd have to play it right outside their door, so that they knew that I wasn't going to walk away with it. And yeah, I loved the Barbie fashion plates, assembling the different tops and bottoms, and they don't have it anymore. They don't have the original one. They have the upgraded version with the new fashions, and that's just not. And the women are more cartoonish rather than realistic with the original fashion plates. And so, yeah, I checked on Amazon, and I saw that, and I said, no, I gotta have the original. And they don't have it, so. Oh, it's done. Alrighty. So, Mormon Church threatening LDS women to be loyal after temple changes is now available. But I don't know why I'm bothering to tell you this on this video, because nobody's going to watch this video. The Tale of Pink. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, let's get the Mormons' attention. You guys aren't going to work today. It's snowed in. We're all snowed in here in Utah. 50 feet of snow. Alrighty. Yes, I'm exaggerating. But it did go up my leg, almost to my kneecap. And I'm a tall guy, which means my kneecaps are pretty up there. So, it was a big storm. At least out in West Valley here. Because West Valley usually doesn't get it, because we're on the west side. And it's usually the east side that gets the bulk of it, depending on the travel path of the storm. Alrighty. And we've saved it on Pinterest. I don't even know why I bother with Pinterest anymore. I never use it. And saved it on LinkedIn, where there are still Mormon remains who keep tabs on me through LinkedIn. Alrighty. And yeah, I've got to get to the comments, the new comments as well as the old comments, so I got to do videos on those. And we'll sign out. I clicked on old obscure 80s songs, and now they're throwing in, oh, we recommend new wave alternative. But yeah, that was also part of it. The new wave movement, people, the singers were being exposed as being homosexual, and that was causing scandal. You know, there's actually gay people on Earth? People were shocked. And, you know, the whole closet thing, you know, and so, you know, the homophobia rose exponentially. And so, in high school, There was a guy that worked at the pizza place, Rusty's Pizza, that I got a delivery job. Man, look at that bald spot. See, I had my hair styled as a kid this way because my dad told me that when I go bald later on, it'll be covered up. But my mom's father is the baldness pattern that I have, and he eventually couldn't really do much of a comb over, so I'm expecting it to get worse than it already is, but it's lasting pretty long. It's staying pretty thick here. But yeah, Barbie fashion plates. If my parents would have seen that I was interested in women's fashion design, they only saw what they wanted to see, and they saw that I had done a drawing of a house, and so my mom decided, oh, he can become an architect. Why don't you take architectural classes at Rick's College, where we're going to pay for your schooling? And so I took an architectural class, and they said, oh yeah, computer technology is coming, and it'll most likely do away with artistic drawing for houses and blueprints. So I had already failed the DOS-ROM class for computers long before Windows, and so yeah, hearing that architecture was going to go the way of the computer, I realized, no, I failed computers. That's not a good career field to go into if architecture is going to force me to use the DOS program to program computer blueprints. And so, you know, now they have programs. I've got it over there. I'm not going to get up and get it. So, yeah, great program. But, and so, yeah, watch TV all the time, so I saw commercials, and I could quote many commercials, you know, such as "Pardon-moi, est-ce que vous avez du Grey Coupon? Mais bien sûr." Do they even have Grey Coupon? I think they do. I can't remember. It was in the glass jar. And so I recognized commercials and the patterns in commercials. And one of the things I noticed was psychiatry. They were sneaking in commercials to try to drum up business. Now, if you're not familiar with psychiatry and the history of psychiatry, you got to take it back to World War II in Nazi Germany. That's how evil psychiatry is. They were the ones doing human experimentations and the torturing and the murdering, all for the sake of science. But they were also rescued by America and put to work for the CIA. And so then you have the experimentations on American citizens. And so that's where you get the X-Files coming from, with people thinking that they've been abducted, when in reality it's just the government who were doing experimentations on them and messing up their mind. And so, yeah, bad news bears. But yeah, that they also were the ones testing it out in the movie theaters with the frames that would flash on the screen intermittently to convince you to go buy a Coke from the concession stand or popcorn. And so they were trying to see if they didn't need to advertise, like in the older theater days. Let's all go to the movies. Let's all go and buy ourselves some snacks. And yeah, The Simpsons has that version. But That's what they used to do in the olden days of the black and whites. And with the newer technologies of movies, they were doing the brainwashing techniques of intermittent pictures to try to see if they can trigger a response in the human, in the mass populations. And so yeah, I watched the commercials, and the first set of commercials were like, does your child have these symptoms? You know, isolated, antisocial, blah, 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 blah. And they were saying, your child could be depressed. That's how psychiatry first started it. They wanted to try to see if they can get customers, clients, money by creating depression. And they were focusing on teenagers, because teenagers go through those hormonal changes. Life is hard in high school. And so, yeah, they were trying to let parents know, hey, we'll take your child away from you and put them on drugs and put them in our hospital client things, and we'll fix your child of their depression. And so, fortunately, my parents didn't know about it or didn't fall for it at that time. When they contributed to getting me isolated from society. Yeah, isolated from society. Yeah. And they then, my dad especially was the one saying, oh, if we had only known when he was a teenager, we would have locked him away then. Thanks, Dad. Go to hell. And so then, some months later or the next year, I can't remember which, but I remember the same type of commercial comes on and said, if your kid has these symptoms, and they were the exact same symptoms as for depression, as they were claiming. But this time, no, they escalated it. It's no longer depression that is the cause of those symptoms. Now, your son may be homosexual. Yeah. And so there was the movie that just came out in the theaters about the reprogramming of teenagers in Christianity and to cure them of being gay. So yeah, homophobia was on the rise in the 80s. Complete, utter paranoia. And when I worked for Blockbuster, the manager was saying, oh, I understand that if you like music, you're gay. That's how absurd it was getting. You know, any symptom. If you like Pink, if you like music, if you... those are gay behaviors. And so... and now they're finding out, oh, if you played with army men, you're gay. You have to play with women dolls in order to remain straight. I found out that the starting salary for a women's fashion designer is $100,000 a year. I wouldn't be here talking about how the church is wrong and evil and corrupt, and that it's collapsed and it needs to be done away with, if I had been allowed by my parents to pursue a career in women's fashion design. I would have been one of those guys with who knows what I would have been wearing at the model runway things they have. But I got to see America's Next Top Model, and that was kind of cool. But I was having the flashbacks of that could have been me making those designs for the women who are on the runway. And oh well, Mormons, you brought this upon yourselves. You made me. So you can't blame me. You gotta blame yourselves. I'm the one who destroyed the church because you wouldn't let me design women's fashion. And I would have been a great help for the church. We could have finally gotten some nice, pleasant-looking female women's garments. Oh man, they're just hideous. And the temple dresses. All of those temple dresses, scrap them. Ugly. I could have designed the church's dress line fashion. Oh well. And so, and yeah, that I think is the tale of pink. But that's what psychiatrists did. Is they I get it. They place people in categories, and the categories they call symptoms. And if you meet within a spectrum of the symptoms, you then get categorized as having such and such a problem, whether it's depression, homosexuality, and yes, they escalated even more after homosexuality to terrorist. That's how bad it got with psychiatrists and how desperate they were getting for clientele back in the 80s. And so once they get you into a category, they repeat over and over again. You are this. You are this. You are depressed. You're homosexual. Over and over and over and over and over and over. And they get your friends. They get your family. They get your peers and your co-workers. All of them also come after you. Oh, you're fit in these categories, which psychiatrists say means you're this category. And over again, you're pressured to accept that you are what they say you are. And so if you wear pink, you must be gay, because men don't wear pink. Now it's okay for men to wear pink because people are okay with homosexuality. But that doesn't mean that I'm homosexual or anybody's homosexual for wearing pink. And so then they had to use the tactic of, you don't have to be gay, but it's okay to wear pink. And no, it's not. It has nothing to do with colors. There is no masculine or feminine attachment to a color. It's just a color. And one of the things I learned in art class is that there is no gender identification with color. It is psychiatrists who attach the gender identification with color. And in Hebrew, yes, the ancient languages, they have masculine and feminine endings. Excuse me. But it's only for the sake of the language. It wasn't intended to be an actual gender identification of objects. So Adam is the masculine and soil is the feminine, with the addition of the feminine singular ending. And so it is psychiatry that has categorized people into the classification, and the purpose for doing that is so that they can then prescribe a treatment plan in accordance with it. So those who were homosexual back in the 80s, they were put through this Christian programming to tell them, No, you don't like playing with female dolls. You don't like the color pink. You don't like... That's what they were doing to people. That's the kind of re-education programming that they were doing. And if you also want to learn about this technique, Clockwork Orange, the movie. Cynthia Pollard, or Cindy Pollard as she preferred to be called as a teenager when I dated her, that was her favorite movie. And so after we no longer were dating, I found the movie and watched it and then went, why is this her favorite movie? Is it because she liked the guy getting emasculated? So, yeah, they were using electric shock therapy as well as the picture flashes to re-educate him. And in the end, he got the better of him. So the re-education didn't work. So good for Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick? Is that? I can't remember pronunciation, but yeah, he knew all about it and put it in a movie form for us. Alrighty, so that's the tale of Pink, and so don't listen to people when they tell you that because you like certain things or do certain things that you therefore are such and such a person. That's not the case. And in religion, it doesn't have to be over homosexuality either. It can be for anything else in regards to loyalty to the church or apostate, antichrist. If you can't handle Brigham Young's polygamy, that's okay. The church shouldn't be threatening you to be loyal to the church because you can't handle polygamy. The church can't do that to you. And if you don't like Brigham Young being a mass murderer, you know, that's my situation. The church should not be threatening me to stay loyal to the church, stay silent, as Bishop Reed Hammond did regarding the Book of Mormon for Adam having fallen rather than Eve. See, all of Christianity and Judaism blame the woman so that they can suppress women. And the truth is that the original source documents from the brass plates, Mormons, remember, I'm doing that. I've got you. Yeah, and so it's over, Mormons. Don't let anybody categorize you. Don't set yourself in a tribal situation. Don't say that you have to be a member of the church in good standing, loyal to the church, so that you look the other way when abuses and crimes occur. So that you look away when leaders of the church threaten the members, as in the temple changes. We're not making you give loyalty to your husband or obey your husband, and we're allowing women to wear slacks. Therefore, women now owe us loyalty, and we expect an increase in church membership, conversions, and attendance now. That's what they're doing with that. It has nothing to do with God's will, because if it's God's will, why wasn't it God's will before? Oh, because it's a step-by-step process. No. There's a difference between a step-by-step process and changing bad behavior. So, yes, the church now admits that Brigham Young was a racist. But what people don't realize is that it's not God's church. God is never racist. So if the church is confessing that yes, Brigham Young is a racist for saying his statements in General Conference, which have been published. The church doesn't publish them anymore, but they're out there. You can get them on the internet now. Journal of Discourses. That means that Brigham Young was not inspired by God. That's what it means. And so the church is not true. It is not led by God. It is not God's church. It doesn't matter if the name has Jesus' name in it. It's not God's church. And that's the Church of Satan video that I'm wanting to do. So we'll stop here with this, the Tale of Pink, and then eventually I'll get to the Church of Satan. Shout at the devil! Although I think the song for this one will be Twisted Sisters. You're Gonna Burn in Hell. There we go. Although I think I should have done that for the women threat thing, but we can do it for the Tale of Pink. I don't know. We'll see. It's 36 minutes now, so it's going to take some time to upload and save and whatever. One more thing to the Tale of Pink that I forgot to add was during this time of homophobic paranoia in the 80s, my uncle, Uncle Lowell, decided he was going to give up on his Barbie wife and 3 daughters, who were going to likewise grow up to be Barbie dolls themselves, and up and leave. I'm now gay, and went to California to work at Blockbuster Video and live with his gay partner. And so my dad was furious. You know, his whole masculinity was threatened, and so he was going to force his brother to denounce his deciding to be gay, and my Uncle Lowell would counter-argue by saying, I knew I was gay as a child because I didn't want to work on the farm. I wanted to stay home with Mom and work in the kitchen and do laundry. Do you see what he was doing? He fell victim to the categorization and just assumed, oh, I have all the symptoms, I must be gay. Because he went and married a total blonde bombshell of a wife. You know, she was a little too much for me and my type, because remember, I liked redheads. She's blonde. But, you know, she was well endowed, and it made it very uncomfortable for me as a teenager at the swimming pool. And, unbelievable, you know. And he tried to justify, well, I just married her because that was what I was supposed to do. The church is to blame. No, you got played again. But yeah, it's just unbelievable. And so because my dad was unsuccessful in re-educating my uncle back into being straight and getting back with his family, my parents then turned on me. Travis, we've noticed you've been antisocial. There's the theme song, Suicidal Tendencies, institutionalized. All I wanted was a Mountain Dew, because Mountain Dew's better than Pepsi. And so, yeah, I'll try to remember to link that song. But yeah, my parents were doing exactly as the song. The suicidal tendencies, they knew what was going on in the 80s. And they tried to put out a song to warn people, to warn us kids about the threat that our government, our society, and parents were doing to us. You gotta be kidding me. Do what I told ya. Oh, man. Alrighty. We'll get back to that later. And so, yeah, my parents came after me. Hey, you're staying in your room all the time. You're listening to music. You're not hanging around women, they just didn't get it. They were trying to place me in a category which they themselves put me in. I went to my room because I knew that if I was around my mother, she would assign me chores. I didn't want to do chores, so I stayed away from my mom. That was her tactic, to keep kids away from her. Because if we were around her, we were bugging her. And if we're bugging her, she doesn't want to be bugged. So what does she do? She says, hey, get to work. Okay, well, I'm busy. I got things to do. So I would stay in my room. And that's where I learned to write. And I was a creative writer. And the rubber ducky tales and stuff. And then music. I needed something to occupy my time while I'm in there. So I had a radio. Back when I was 12 years old, my dad gave me, he upgraded theirs in their master bedroom, so I got their old one, and he tuned it to the Dodger channel, because he didn't want me listening to music. And so he thought, oh yeah, here's the Dodger channel, Travis. You like the Dodgers? Well, yeah. And so yeah, I was listening to the Dodgers, and then I'd go to school in the fall, and the kids were talking about music, and I'm going, music? I know about Sean Cassidy, but there had been other music since that time, and so yeah, I learned to change the dial on the radio, and oh my goodness, there's FM. I don't need to stay on AM for the Dodger channel. I can go to FM and listen to music. And so I was listening to all channels. Country, the romance, whatever they call it, the love songs, the hard rock, K-Bear, or I think that's the Utah version. I think they had another one down in California. Yeah, I became a lover of all music because of that. And yeah, whereas in the 80s, you were assigned cliques depending on your musical tastes. If you like country music, you were a part of the country clique. If you liked heavy metal clique, and etc. And the alternative clique, and blah, blah, blah. And so you sort of see that in Valley Girl with Nicolas Cage. Yeah, that was a big thing back then. But I was among the first to say, I like all music. And then at the end of the 80s, people are starting to say, I like all music too. Yeah, I started a fad, yay. Yeah, my parents thought I was gay. And, you know, they didn't pay attention to my playing with the little people, being surrounded by women, or watching me as I'm doing the Barbie fashion plates. No, you know. And there were other examples, too embarrassing to share, that was proof that I wasn't gay. But unbelievable. Parents thought I was gay because my uncle decided to be gay, and they wanted to make sure that I wasn't gay. And so when I went to the homecoming dance, the prom, that's what it was, the Mormon girls either refused or already had a date, and so I went to Cynthia Pollard, as I mentioned, and I forgot something at home, and so I had to go home after picking her up, and ran in the house, and my sister Tiffany recognized that I had a woman in the car, and, oh, you got a woman in the car, who is she? Bring her in, let us meet her. I knew very well that she was not coming in the house. There was no way. I was already getting picked on enough for thinking that them thinking I was gay, and so yeah, that was a nightmare scenario. Gotta go. But yeah, suicidal tendencies. We think it is in your best interest. My best interest? What do you know about my best interest? Great song, and I'll remember to put the link in.